Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we will listen and learn about the novel adaptation of Kamen Rider Ryuki to see what changes it brings compared to the original series. If you don't fight, you won't survive. Why do they have to fight so hard? The last survivor will be granted one wish. Kamen Riders like Knight, Zolda, and Uja. Each of them has a reason, tragedy, and despair they rely on to fight. This is the novel version of Kamen Rider Ryuki, which aired from February 2002 to January 2003, written by author Inoue Toshiki, one of the two main writers of the original series. The Kamen Rider Ryuki novel consists of 18 chapters, published alongside the Kamen Rider Agito novel in 2013 as part of the Kamen Rider novel series. The main content retells the story of the Rider battle in a completely new way. The book contains many different details, darkness, violence, sexuality, compared to the TV series. Chapter 3. The mirror world does not always reflect reality accurately. There is no proof of this, and the sky is always clear. At night, countless stars shine mysteriously and frenziedly. In the real world, all the constellations that appear in each season intertwine and shine in the mirror world. Asakura Takashi appeared from the direction of the Scorpius constellation. He had transformed into Kamen Rider Uja, his appearance resembling a king cobra raising its head to threaten its enemies. Uja slowly approached his prey while rolling his neck and cracking his knuckles. Kamen Rider Rhea, who defeated other mirror monsters to feed the monster he had contracted with, read his own fate in the night sky and shivered. This was because his star, the one he had found among the other, confusing myriad of stars, had fallen. Uja swung down his drill-shaped sword, Venusaber, as Rhea turned around. Rhea immediately jumped back and counterattacked with the evil whip. A whip-like weapon extended and wrapped around Uja's neck. If it were a mirror monster, this blow would be strong enough to decapitate it. However, Uja still smiled gently. Ha ha ha, you smell like crap. Immediately, Rhea formulated a strategy in his mind. If this continues, I will pull Uja in and decapitate him with my other weapon, Evil Visor. As Rhea tightened his grip, Uja used that strength to headbutt him in the chest. Uja's Venusaber pierced through Rhea's stomach. Venusnaker. Responding to that call, a monster he had contracted leaped forward from behind Uja's jump. Venusnaker appeared. Resembling a giant python, it spewed purple venom from its bright red mouth. Veno Crash. That was the name of Uja's finishing move. Surfing on the flowing stream of poison like a waterfall, Uja's kick crushed Rhea's body. Then Uja ran to where Rhea had fallen helplessly, scooped out the intestines from his torn abdomen, and threw them. Eat this. Venusnaker swallowed the intestines flying through the star-filled sky in one bite, then it disappeared. What the hell are you doing? That guy. That was Shinji, transformed into Ryuki. You're next. Uja turned to Ryuki. You also smell like crap. And very strong at that. Open your eyes. Do you really enjoy things like this? Yeah, a lot. It's fantastic. He said. Uja began to roll his neck and crack his knuckles again. A month had passed since Shinji became a Kamen Rider. During that time, Shinji had defeated several mirror monsters and witnessed the battles of other riders, occasionally intervening himself. However, no one listened to Shinji's pleas to stop the fighting. Instead, Shinji was mocked, ostracized, and despised by other riders. Many riders wanted to fight Ryuki and try to defeat him. When Ryuki blocked Uja's Venusaber with his drag saber, 3 others jumped into the mirror world. These were Kamen Riders Knight, Zolda, and Femme. Clearly, the only riders still alive were these 5. Ren muttered after transforming into Knight, the number has decreased significantly. But it means nothing if I'm the last one standing, Zolda said. Shinji didn't know how many riders there were initially. But he could imagine how much blood had been shed up to this moment. Just the right moment. I'm going to slaughter all of you at once. Uja roared unintelligibly and threw a punch at Ryuki's face. The constellations and nebulas in the night sky began to move. Night and Zolda also targeted Ryuki. Damn. Am I the first target? Ryuki turned and started to run. There was no other choice but to flee at that moment. Stop. Stop it. Stop fighting. An explosion occurred at Ryuki's feet as he ran and shouted. Zolda had brought out a gun-like weapon, Magnavisor. Zolda's body was equipped with the thickest armor of all the riders, resembling an armored vehicle. Uja and Night attacked Ryuki, who was blown away, both riders wielding their weapons forcefully. Hey! Stop it. We should be united. United. Naturally, Shinji's words fell on deaf ears. Ryuki rolled left and right on the ground, dodging the sword attacks from Night and Uja. And as Zolda aimed his gun at Shinji, he thought, this is it. Suddenly a wind arose. Usually, there is no wind in the mirror world. The atmosphere is always tense and motionless. That wind was from Femme. Femme spread her wings wide like a swan and flapped them. Gliding on that wind, countless feathers, like arrows, tossed Zolda's body. Whether by accident or intention, a blizzard of pure white feathers saved Ryuki's life. Quickly getting up, Ryuki leaped into a mirror. Shinji had returned to reality, running through the city at night on a moped. Shinji always felt nostalgic when returning from the mirror world to hear. The usual noise of the city, though annoying, made him extremely happy. Shinji wanted to hug everyone he met. Escaping from the mirror world was like surviving a return from the underworld. However, now Shinji didn't feel at ease, but was extremely angry to the point of erupting. Those guys, they all ganged up to try to kill me. Moreover, he felt disappointed because of his own ineffectiveness. His decision to stop the battle hadn't changed the situation at all. No one listened to Shinji's words. Femme was the only help. If Femme's attack just now was an attempt to save Shinji. Femme, the only woman among the riders, perhaps still had a genuine human heart. If so, she might be receptive to Shinji's persuasion. Shinji remembered his small hometown in the mountains. A withered fruit garden, a town abandoned by its people. The feeling of being powerless, it pained his heart and continued to do so. I'm sorry for being like this again. If Shinji couldn't save the mirror world, it would be like committing a sin for the second time. Shinji remembered his grandmother's words. Use your power to help people all over the world. You can do it. That's right. I can do it. Shinji eagerly accelerated on his moped, but he had already arrived at his destination. Realizing he had passed where he wanted to go, he hastily braked and tumbled down. A brick-colored high-rise building towered into the night sky as if looking down at Shinji. The penthouse in that building was where Kamen rider Zolda, Kitaka Shuichi lived. This was the second time Shinji visited Kitaka Shuichi. The first visit was because Ren had informed him about Shuichi's name and profession. Since finding Ren's apartment, Shinji had frequently tried to follow him. When that became too bothersome, Ren pushed Shinji to find someone else and revealed Zolda's real identity. My name is Kitaka Shuichi, I'm a lawyer. If you look into it further, you'll find out. Ren had been a Kamen rider longer than Shinji, perhaps he knew things Shinji did not. State your name on the intercom system at the entrance. You can only enter this upscale apartment after unlocking it. When the two first met at the 6LDK apartment where Shuichi was living, they had a late lunch together in the large living room. Those French dishes were too luxurious to be called lunch, with plenty of fresh sea urchins arranged next to steak topped with foie gras. Of all the people Shinji had met so far, Shuichi appeared the most decent. Tall and with a petite face. If facial features were determined by genes and randomness, then Shuichi possessed an ideal set of genes and extraordinary luck. A napkin wrapped around his striped shirt, Shuichi held a knife and fork with his slender fingers, silently listening to Shinji's speech. Of course, it was a simple speech with the content: stop fighting with the other Kamen riders, let's reconcile, it's not good for everyone to slaughter each other when we're all of the same kind. I understand your point. But I don't think so. Anyway, I'm done for today. After cutting off Shinji, Shuichi said so and wiped his face with a napkin. Hey, what do you mean? You tried to kill me even when I asked to stop. The second time Shinji opened the door with a sign saying Kataka Law Office, he yelled loudly while searching for Shuichi. I've thought about it. Took about 3 seconds to conclude it wasn't worth thinking about anymore. I wasted my precious time. Goro. Shuichi was stretching in the gym with the assistance of Uragoro. Uragoro was the secretary, butler, and chef of Kataka Law Office, looking at Shinji with a disdainful expression as before. Goro had the ugliest appearance among all the people Shinji had ever met. When he stared into Goro's dark, fierce eyes under his protruding forehead, Shinji felt like apologizing for no reason. What made Goro's face even more bizarre was his thick, dark purple lips. Goro couldn't speak. Because his lips had been sewn back together with gold thread. Goro, since we first met, he swore to remain silent, Shuichi informed. Shinji turned his gaze away from Goro and approached Shuichi, who continued to lie on the carpet, still hoarse. Don't joke. Are you happy killing people to fulfill your wish? Yes, very happy indeed. After every rider battle, Shuichi always stretched. He never skipped his 3-day-a-week weightlifting routine. Physical management and training were among Shuichi's hobbies, along with golf and cuisine. In short, whether your wish comes true is still questionable. It's the truth. Think carefully. I don't know if that entity is a god or a demon, but he created the mirror world and even gave us the ability to transform. So it's easy for him to fulfill others' wishes. Besides, he's the worst scum for granting wishes, by killing people. If we can eliminate that scumbag and make the wish come true, isn't that killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Then how are you any different from him? You're just scum too. I thought you would understand. Shuichi sighed as he ran his hand through his bangs. I don't know much about you, and I don't want to, but you really surpass my imagination. It's boring. That doesn't matter. The issue is whether it's right or not. Nothing is truly right in this world. There's only the belief that it's right. You're a lawyer, aren't you? Is it okay to say that? I'm a lawyer, so I can understand that. Well, I guess if you think a bit more, you still won't understand. Let's change the subject, shall we? Do you know what I want? What are you talking about? My wish. I didn't want to say this myself, but I have everything. You see, I'm handsome, smart, and even when I just roughly estimate my annual income, it's hundreds of times more than yours. I also have 8 girlfriends. They come from different countries and all have their own interests. My ancestors on my mother's side come from an old aristocratic family. My lineage couldn't be better. My career is progressing very well, and I'm sure I'm ranked #1 among young lawyers. People often say I'm a genius, but that's still a modest way to put it. I want you to say that I'm truly a great genius. Do you know why I became a Kamen writer? You really are insufferable. Who knows the wish of someone like you? Perhaps so. You have no imagination at all. You're too simple. You can't persuade others like that. Shinji felt a bit self-conscious being called simple, his face contorted. It was a phrase his friends back home often used. I am not simple. I'm innocent. Whatever, don't try to persuade me anymore. You're wasting your time. Oh wait, that's right. After stretching, Shuichi stood up. He was a head taller than Shinji. There's someone who seems willing to listen to what you have to say. If you want, I can introduce you to him. His name is Asakura Takashi. Then how are you any different from him? You're just scum too. I thought you would understand. Shuichi sighed as he ran his hand through his bangs. I don't know much about you, and I don't want to, but you really surpass my imagination. It's boring. That doesn't matter. The issue is whether it's right or not. Nothing is truly right in this world. There's only the belief that it's right. You're a lawyer, aren't you? Is it okay to say that? I'm a lawyer, so I can understand that. Well, I guess if you think a bit more, you still won't understand. Let's change the subject, shall we? Do you know what I want? What are you talking about? My wish. I didn't want to say this myself, but I have everything. You see, I'm handsome, smart, and even when I just roughly estimate my annual income, it's hundreds of times more than yours. I also have 8 girlfriends. They come from different countries and all have their own interests. My ancestors on my mother's side come from an old aristocratic family. My lineage couldn't be better. My career is progressing very well, and I'm sure I'm ranked number 1 among young lawyers. People often say I'm a genius, but that's still a modest way to put it. I want you to say that I'm truly a great genius. Do you know why I became a Kamen writer? You really are insufferable. Who knows the wish of someone like you? Perhaps so. You have no imagination at all. You're too simple. You can't persuade others like that. Shinji felt a bit self-conscious being called simple, his face contorted. It was a phrase his friends back home often used. I am not simple. I'm innocent. Whatever, don't try to persuade me anymore. You're wasting your time. Oh wait, that's right. After stretching, Shuichi stood up. He was a head taller than Shinji. There's someone who seems willing to listen to what you have to say. If you want, I can introduce you to him. His name is Asakura Takashi. The area around the forest was surrounded by barbed wire fences, with a sign reading, "Beware of wild dogs." The assistant of Kataka probably played him. Shinji hesitated but eventually squeezed through the barbed wire fence and ventured into the forest. The entire forest lit up a pale green under the faint moonlight. Above Shinji's head, the sound of rustling leaves echoed, and beneath his feet, he heard insects chirping like bells. After walking for a while, stepping on earthworms and crawling insects on the layer of mulch, Shinji saw flickering flames amidst the trees. He immediately came across a more open area. Asakura Takashi was fast asleep, his body lying beside the campfire. His face lay upturned, glowing like a golden mask amidst the flames. Shinji took a deep breath when he saw the thick skewers stuck over the fire. The heads of 3 dogs were skewered in the middle of the skewers, with countless bones and meat clinging to them. Does he eat dog meat? Unbelievable. A wild dog is still a dog. No matter how hungry you are, you shouldn't eat dog meat like this. I wonder if it tastes good. Shinji shook his head vigorously to dispel that curiosity, looking at Takashi's face. His face, illuminated by the fire, seemed to be ablaze, impossible to discern any expression on it. Groaning, Takashi opened his mouth wide and began to snarl. The pile of meat and bones of the wild dogs being gnawed on began to twitch. Hey! Suddenly, a voice echoed behind Shinji, startling him. Could it be Ren? When Shinji turned around, he jumped in surprise at seeing Ren's face right beside him, causing him to fall heavily on his butt. Don't be surprised like that. What are you doing here? This is the way to my home. I'm heading back. Don't play dumb. This is serious. Come on. Ren grabbed Shinji's collar and began walking towards the exit. Stop. They heard a voice. The fire was blazing behind them, casting Takashi's shadow. The shadow shook its head and twisted its arms as it approached. Right, it's Uja, isn't it? Shinji thought this was impossible. He had realized the truth sooner. He couldn't convince this guy. Among the Kamen riders, he was the most brutal fighter. You guys are riders, right? Stop. Asakura! Ren shouted, sensing the bloodlust. Have you forgotten the rules of the rider battle? Killing each other in the real world is strictly prohibited. If you violate the rules, the battle might be cancelled. Don't need to know, hurry up and let me smell it, the scent of blood. Takashi swung the hot iron rod, stained red by the campfire. From the darkness, a dark red trajectory drew a curve across Shinji and Ren's necks. Both started running through the trees. An iron rod was thrown through the trunk of a tree. "Climb up!" Ren yelled as he jumped onto the motorcycle over the barbed wire fence. "But what about my bike?" "No time. Get on." Shinji sat behind and Ren shifted gears, but the motorcycle didn't move. Behind them, Takashi grabbed the rear wheel of the motorcycle. Takashi's laughter echoed as he looked up at the moon while holding on to the wheel tightly. The growl of a beast, Shinji thought. This man laughed instead of threatening like usual. "Get off the bike." Shinji immediately ducked down as Ren told him to. Ren threw a knife at Takashi's arm. The motorcycle revved up and started moving. Ren stopped at a gas station along the highway. Shinji threw Ren a coffee can he had bought from a vending machine. However, Ren refused to take it. "What's wrong?" "Drink it. It's a thank you for helping me." "No need." Ren used his foot to crush the coffee can rolling on the ground. "I didn't save you. Like I said to Asakura earlier, killing each other in the real world is strictly prohibited. If the law is broken, this battle will be cancelled. If that happens, there won't be any wishes granted." "But I didn't know that." "How did you know I was with Asakura?" "I think Kitaka probably tried to get rid of you like I did. In that case, the only enemy would be Asakura. Whatever the reason, helping me was real. Don't tell me you're starting to like me a bit? Are you stupid? You're too optimistic. But remember, being overly enthusiastic will lead to a downfall. A downfall is fine, as long as I can get back up again." After filling up the gas tank, Ren got back on the motorcycle. "Anyway, don't get close to Asakura Takashi anymore. Remember that." Ren said that as he kicked Shinji off the bike, who was trying to sit behind. "Who told you to get on the bike? Stay here. Now go home." Wait. Please tell me one more thing. There's a female Kamen rider, right? Oh, you mean femme, huh? I don't know who she is, but... From what I've seen in the mirror world, she probably hates Asakura Takashi a lot. Could it be that they were dating before? This guy is crazy. Don't you know anything about Asakura Takashi? I'm sure you've heard about it. The case stirred up the media 3 years ago. Asakura Takashi. Let me see. That's right. That guy is Asakura Takashi. The serial killer who escaped from prison. Takashi's existence has revived the forgotten beauty of people surrounded by loneliness and wounds in their hearts. For a while, Takashi's killing instinct didn't work. It's not the love of the homeless group that took care of him, it's the rotten river. The stinking smell from the river's nose and the dirty smell of waste. Thanks to Takashi, the neighborhood is full of life, the wind blows the laughter. Takashi lives in the tent of an old man who seems to be the mayor there. One night, while Takashi was sleeping on a bed of plastic sheets, a black hand flew to him. The black wrestling hands are constantly emerging from the gaps on the hardcover sheets, they're fighting for Takashi. The world once again becomes a hell with the stinking smell of domination. Takashi took a knife in the corner of the room, put it on the head of the old man who was snoring his mouth. The next morning, the homeless threw the body into the Yellow and Red River every day. Like buried in concrete, the old man's body slowly sank down and never popped up again. Nobody doubts Takashi. Rather, they're glad he's still safe, but when the homeless group finds out who the perpetrator is, they conclude it's a jealous murder. The old man took Takashi too much. That's why he was killed. 3 days later, Takashi commits another murder, and the homeless start killing each other. The killers were Takashi lusts, so they were killed in order, starting with Takashi lovers. The last survivor was a huge middle-aged man, who was once a professional wrestler. The man smiled and hugged Takashi, and Takashi ripped his stomach out. A few years later, an incident caused the name of Asakura Takashi to shock society. It all started when a man climbed the steep mountain, commonly called the Hidden Land of Ghosts, who to the police an incident on the mountain. The man who went up the mountain with his friend. The purpose is to uncover the hidden drug case. Of course, that's just a joke, but you spent half a day walking around the mountain, and you actually met the hidden ghost on the way down. It's Asakura Takashi. Takashi was a teenager, smiling with two men. His hair was as thick as cranberry and his face was blacked by the mud. One was killed and the other miraculously escaped. Then the man rushed to the police station. Hearing the situation, 5 police officers entered the mountain. 3 days later, the police deployed another 15 armed cops. None of the 5 went back to the mountain from scratch. Armed police found 5 dead bodies attached to the branches of trees. All the bodies were operated on the abdomen and whipped all over the place. The world once again becomes a hell with the stinking smell of domination. Takashi took a knife in the corner of the room, put it on the head of the old man who was snoring his mouth. The next morning, the homeless threw the body into the Yellow and Red River every day. Like buried in concrete, the old man's body slowly sank down and never popped up again. Nobody doubts Takashi. Rather, they're glad he's still safe, but when the homeless group finds out who the perpetrator is, they conclude it's a jealous murder. The old man took Takashi too much. That's why he was killed. 3 days later, Takashi commits another murder, and the homeless start killing each other. The killers were Takashi lusts, so they were killed in order, starting with Takashi lovers. The last survivor was a huge middle-aged man, who was once a professional wrestler. The man smiled and hugged Takashi, and Takashi ripped his stomach out. A few years later, an incident caused the name of Asakura Takashi to shock society. It all started when a man climbed the steep mountain, commonly called the Hidden Land of Ghosts, who to the police an incident on the mountain, the man who went up the mountain with his friend. The purpose is to uncover the hidden drug case. Of course, that's just a joke, but you spent half a day walking around the mountain, and you actually met the hidden ghost on the way down. It's Asakura Takashi. Takashi was a teenager, smiling with two men. His hair was as thick as cranberry and his face was blacked by the mud. One was killed and the other miraculously escaped. Then the man rushed to the police station. Hearing the situation, 5 police officers entered the mountain. 3 days later, the police deployed another 15 armed cops. None of the 5 went back to the mountain from scratch. Armed police found 5 dead bodies attached to the branches of trees. All the bodies were operated on the abdomen and whipped all over the place. Shinji lay on the futon in his apartment, thinking about Kamen Rider Femme. In the midst of the battle in the mirror world, Femme probably saved Shinji. Now, Femme was Shinji's only hope. Despite Shinji's efforts to convince them to stop fighting, Ren Akiyama immediately dismissed him. Kitaka Shuichi remained cold and aloof, and even Asakura Takashi had nothing to say. Femme was the only one who would listen to him. However, Ren said that no one knew Femme's true identity. If they couldn't meet in the real world, the only way was to persuade her in the mirror world. If possible, Shinji wanted to meet Femme out here. He wanted to talk like human beings. In the mirror world, Femme would be uncomfortable and wouldn't know when she might attack him. Still, Shinji pondered. What kind of person was Femme, participating in the rider battle as a woman? What wish did she bring with her? Every time Shinji thought about Femme, she seemed like a person painted with beauty. Perhaps she was a beautiful lady who wished for world peace even at the cost of her own life. She must have become a contract holder because she couldn't bear the happiness alone. As he contemplated, Shinji's cell phone rang. What's up? It was Kurashima Miho. Shinji tried to sound annoyed when answering the phone. My stomach hurts too much. What? Ate too much, right? Drink some Sairamaru. No, the opposite. The opposite? What do you mean? I haven't eaten anything for 3 days. I'm starving to death. Starving to death made Shinji shudder, but he remained cautious. With Miho, you never knew what could be a trap. So let's go eat. I don't have money. No money? Why? Anyway, I'll starve to death in an hour. No, 30 minutes. Finally, Shinji bought whatever he could from the convenience store nearby and headed to the provided address. He felt strangely anxious when she specified 30 minutes. Maybe a time bomb was set in Miho's stomach, ready to explode if he didn't feed her within 30 minutes. "Hey, are you okay?" When he arrived at the room and rushed through the unlocked door, Miho was bent over the bed, groaning. "Hey. Hold on tight. Look, eat whatever you like." Shinji dumped the fast food he had bought onto Miho, like a corpse covered in flowers. "That's amazing. I could die now," Miho murmured. "You fool. Don't be so weak. Which one do you like?" "Yakisoba." "Okay, yakisoba it is. Add hot water and wait 3 minutes. But. I need pickled ginger." "Okay, pickled ginger. Wait. I'll go buy it for you." Miho ate the yakisoba noodles with plenty of pickled ginger. After devouring ramen, soba, udon, and rice balls, she finally regained her energy. "Wow, I'm revived." Shinji breathed a sigh of relief and began eating the ice cream he had bought for himself. "Thank you, Shinji. You saved my life." Since he was young, Shinji had always loved ice cream. Once he started eating, he couldn't stop and often ate too much. Shinji finished all 5 cups of ice cream at once and wiped his mouth. "Hey, don't eat too much, you'll get a stomachache." "Forget it, what's the point if I don't have money?" "What about your cleaning job?" "I'm not doing it anymore." "Not doing it anymore? Why? Did something happen with another client?" "No, it's because Shinji gets jealous. I've decided to only clean Shinji's ears." "Yeah, I get really jealous. The flames of jealousy are burning." "Oh, no, that's not true. Who wants to ignite those flames?" At that moment, he exclaimed, Shinji felt something was wrong with his stomach. He instinctively clutched his abdomen and slumped down. What's wrong?" "My stomach hurts too much." "I told you. You ate too much. Say, Aro, Maru. Do you have it?" "No. But more importantly, lie down quickly." After putting Shinji on the bed, Miho quickly pulled up his t-shirt. "You fool. Stop it. I don't feel like that." "No, it's like this." Miho began massaging Shinji's stomach in circular motions. "If you massage in a clockwise direction like this, the pain will ease." "Why clockwise?" "I don't know much about it, but I heard that the intestines move clockwise. So if you stimulate in the opposite direction, it will dissipate." "I didn't know that." "Mainly, I have stomach pain, not intestinal." "It's the same thing, isn't it?" "Look, it's also a digestive organ. Even medicine is called digestive medicine." At this point, Shinji remembered. When he was young, every time he had a stomachache, his grandmother would massage him like this. She said that there was burning coal inside his stomach. So he shouldn't eat too much cold food, it would extinguish the fire. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Shinji asked after feeling a bit less pain. "Do you have any wishes?" "Not just any wish. But a wish you really want to fulfill, even if it means risking your life or killing someone." Miho's hand suddenly stopped moving. "Yes." "What is it?" "I want Shinji." "Answer me seriously." "I don't think you'll understand. Someone who can live through the day like you probably wouldn't." "What? Then what does Shinji wish for?" Let me see." After thinking for a moment, Shinji replied. "I want to see the fruit garden again." "Fruit garden?" "Everyone in my hometown is an apple farmer. In the summer, the orchard is filled with fresh red apples. People harvest apples and organize festivals. During that time, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all apples, but I never got tired of it. The apples were not too sweet or too sour. I don't know how happy I was back then." "Oh." Miho frowned. "What's wrong? You never like to eat apples in the morning, afternoon, or evening. You probably hate apples, right?" "Enough already. I don't think you understand. but just remember this. One day you'll want something from the bottom of your heart, but it'll take effort to get it. Don't ever rely on anyone." After Shinji finished speaking, he exclaimed, "It hurts." Miho reached into Shinji's pants and pinched hard. "What the hell? Don't touch me randomly like that. I told you I hate being taught lessons." "What's wrong, such cheap pants?" "What's cheap? It's my New Year's gift." "Oh no, it's my end-of-year gift. In short, stop calling me for no reason. Go find a job." The next moment, Shinji looked in the mirror. The large mirror in the room glowed brightly and trembled. Someone was fighting in the mirror world. "What's going on?" Miho tilted her head curiously. "Not sure." He couldn't transform in front of Miho. Anyway, she should do her job properly. Shinji ran out of the room after saying that. Those who jumped into the mirror world would automatically be transported to the battlefield. However, it was impossible to know where the battlefield was until they arrived. Sometimes it was in the city, other times in an abandoned place or an uninhabited forest. No writer knew who decided the location of the battle and why it was like that. Uja and Zolda were fighting under the clear blue sea. A giant rainbow stretched across the sky above the sea, emitting 7 clear colors of light. Zolda fired continuous shots from the magnivisor rifle at Uja's flank as he zigzagged to avoid the bullets. A small rainbow appeared and disappeared in the splashes as Uja ran. Uja could gauge the distance. He immediately jumped up and swung his drill-shaped sword Venusaber at Zolda's head. Zolda stumbled, unable to defeat Zolda covered in armor with just one blow. On the contrary, Uja retreated into the shallow water after taking Zolda's punch to the lower abdomen. His eyes under the mask flashed suspiciously with intensity. "Asakura, why don't you transform?" Shuichi quickly aimed the gun at Takashi. "I'm a super lawyer who turns white into black. It's bound to succeed." "You're a piece of shit. Die." "I'll withdraw my previous statement then. The verdict is still death." As Zolda squeezed, Uja lunged forward and bit his arm. The metal mask or even his ears were torn, his sharp fangs sank deep into Zolda's arm. Countless fangs tore Zolda's armor. Uja bit into the gush of blood. He aimed at Zolda's neck and struck. Zolda turned the magnivisor gun barrel to Uja's chest and fired. Uja dodged immediately, but blood splattered where the bullet grazed. As both were ready to attack again, a white object flew from the direction of the sun shining brightly into Zolda's line of sight. Snowflakes? They were feathers falling from Fem's wings. As Fem descended, she swung her wing slasher at Uja's back. "Is it okay now?" Fem felt a certain reaction. However, Uja didn't move even a slightest bit. Uja laughed loudly, shaking his head at Fem. Then, Fem swiftly kicked him in the lower abdomen. Fem activated her wing shield as she jumped back, as countless feathers turned into a snowstorm, blowing from her wings and engulfing Uja. Uja countered with Venusaber. The feathers were blocked and fell to the ground one by one as they were quickly stopped by his power. At the moment Uja charged towards Fem, "Stop!" Ryuki rushed into the feather-filled snowstorm. With his drag saber, Ryuki pushed back Uja's Venusaber rushing towards Fem. As he turned back to ask if she was okay, Fem's fist struck Ryuki's face. "You're interfering. Get out of the way. Asakura Takashi will defeat me. Only I can do it for sure, don't. You're a woman, right? Stay calm and listen to me. You've been wrong about everything. This battle and the mirror world too." Uja swung Venusaber horizontally and struck Ryuki's head. Ryuki's body was blown away by the tremendous impact. "You idiot. What does being a man or a woman have to do with a rider battle?" Uja laughed into the blue sky. "Come here, you. I'll gut you." Uja's back was no longer intact after Fem's previous attack. Every time Uja moved, fresh blood sprayed, staining the flowing feathers around. "Magnujiga." That was Zolda's roar. Ryuki staggered to his feet and saw the giant steel robot Magnujiga rising from the ground. "Huh. Uja was the first to escape. All contract users knew Zolda's special finishing move. When the Magnavisor linked with Magnujiga's back and squeezed, Magnujiga's body would open up, and a large number of missiles would be fired. End of world. Zolda's final vent exploded. The explosion of the missiles created a huge inferno, with a thick column of fire rising into the sky. Riding on the wind of the explosion, Fem jumped into the sea. There were no waves in the mirror world. The sea itself was calm and tense, like a giant mirror. Fem's body was about to sink into the mirror sea, with Ryuki grabbing her ankle. Where Shinji returned was Miho's room. Not knowing what to do, Shinji looked around the room. I should have left Miho's room and then jumped into the mirror world from the rearview mirror of the motorcycle parked outside. After that, I should have grabbed onto Fem's leg when she ran away, because I wanted to talk to her more. Why is she still in Miho's room? Moreover, I am still holding onto Miho's leg. Ouch. Let go. Oh, sorry. Shinji quickly let go and stared. Unable to understand what was happening, he vaguely directed his gaze at Miho's face. Let's go back. Let's go back. Shinji left the room in silence.